Right, we're heading to the mud pond.
Heading to the mud pond.
To the mud pond.
Rasta style.
Rasta style. So, my son, you've been in Japan 4 years.
Yes.
And the question I wanted to ask you is, what, if anything, do you do different in koi raising compared to when you lived in England that you've learned or picked up here in Japan? Do you do anything differently or just fine-tune?
Not particularly. I mean, obviously at the minute we're using the mud pond as well as using the fish houses.
Yeah.
The running principles of what we're doing with the fish houses is the same as it was in England, but in this instance there's not really any reason for us to use RO, or certainly not at the minute. Maybe after the new fish houses are running, the stocking levels will be lower, and maybe in that instance there will be some mileage in running RO, but at the moment it's not a necessity. But really the running is otherwise pretty much the same as it always was when I was in the UK.
Right.
So it's kind of still subscribing to the same kind of raising techniques and such like. So yeah, not a lot's changed really.
Okay. But for those who don't know, your water comes from a well.
Yeah, it comes from a borehole 83 metres down, so it's getting filtered through basically granite and feldspars, so it's quite low TDS, comes out of the ground at 53 with a temperature of about 16 degrees all year round. So yeah, but it's good. There's less than 1 degree of alkalinity. I think the alkalinity is about 14, 15 ppm, I think, something like that.
All right. Oh, it's really quite low.
So it's quite low, yeah. But yeah, so it's all in all, I think, quite good.
Yeah. And you've dipped your feet into showing yourself, like taking the fish, bagging up and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we've done that now. Last, I don't know, 2 or 3 All Japans. 3 All Japans, I think, we've taken fish to from our fish house. And obviously we've done now No-Go Size Show, we've done twice. The World Nishiki Koi Club Show, we will be taking koi to as well.
Yeah.
And then other things like auctions, Chugoku auction we'll be participating in. So, I mean, it's quite exciting, it's fun for me. The show scene in the UK was always important to me, so kind of nothing's changed there. It's, to me, really good fun. Preparation's a lot of stress, but the show itself, that scene is just so much fun.
Right.
So, yeah, it's good, but I kind of look for different things in fish. Now that I'm in Japan, I'm kind of really in Japan, I think certain factors are more important. Like if you're at Tokyo, colour's important to look good in artificial light. So I tend to give a lot of thought to that. And also body's important insofar as carrying decent body volume is important. So it's, in a way, fish that I might have been satisfied with in the UK before and felt that, oh yeah, this body's really good. Actually in Japan I kind of think, well, whilst the fish might be really good and whilst breeders might like it, actually for koi show you really need a lot of muscle body and a lot of power to everything. So it's kind of changed some of the criteria that I've looked for in these recent years.
Right. And what about like your feeding regime, as it were? Have you changed that?
No, that's all pretty much the same. Okay. The only difference really being is that during the summer, I mean, I'm generally running in England. I was always used to be running 23.7 through the summer.
Yeah.
Daft as it may sound, I just like number 7. So if I've got anything ends in a 7, I'm kind of happy. But
hence your number plates.
Everything's number 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, now I'm in Japan. I actually run a bit like 24.5 is kind of like the summer target. But,
oh really? Okay.
Yeah, but over here, it's just really trying to kind of get that little bit more growth. There's more sunlight where we are now, and it's also easier to control, but given the fact that we've got those curtain systems on there.
So I mean, even with Nisai's Sansai Yonsai, you'll be at 24.5?
Yeah, 24.5 I think is ideal really for keeping a good balance between appearance of colour, skin condition, body
Okay.
weight, and also quite often skin condition goes off a little bit kind of muddy, grubby with that kind of temperature,
Yeah.
especially with higher protein and heavier feeding. But with that kind of temperature, it's really easy to just lower the temperature a little bit, lean off the food, and basically dress the skin back up again. So that's quite easy to kind of rectify condition off. Whereas if you're running higher, it would be harder. I mean, it's like, for example, Sakai Fish Farm, I think are running like sort of 26 degrees or so, basically all year round these days. But for me, I personally feel that 24.5 is quite a good happy medium, and given the summer that we have, even without the boiler running during summer, maybe the highest it's going to touch is like 26 degrees, but in fairness, a lot of other breeders in summer, they can't actually keep the temperatures down to that, so
it gets higher.
So I think we're in a pretty good position, a happy position with all of that. And I think control of light is something that I've got with that system that I never had in UK. In the UK, it was either too much light because there was no shading system, or there was not enough light. Because if you put even a small piece of shading, let's say on a pond in the UK, with the English weather being like it is during the summer, there's so many changeable days, cloudy days, rainy days, that whilst you're shading the fish from too much sun on a sunny day, suddenly all the other days there's not enough sun. So it's much easier for me to moderate that with the system that we've got in place now. So it works a lot better. So for that reason, I think 24.5 for me is, these last couple of years or so, it worked really well. But what I'm also doing differently here is that during the winter months I'm keeping the fish feeding. Now, I've always believed, as you know, that during the winter you may as well kind of let the fish have a winter, but if you run the temperature down to, let's say, 16, they still need some food. But to my mind, that temperature, you're kind of in no man's land, and the feeding, it's too easy to keep too much weight on the fish. So in the UK I used to drop it back to 12 degrees in the winter and give the fish a winter, whereas now, this is another reason things have changed for me in Japan, is that with the Japan show scene, you really need to keep going all year round if you've got any kind of competitive edge whatsoever. If you do it old school and give the fish a winter, basically you'll never get enough power on the fish, enough body on the fish to be competitive. So the way I'm raising fish in that regards has changed a lot.
So what temperature do you run in the winter?
Generally speaking, down to about 19 is where I would go and just keep feeding.
And you're feeding protein food?
Using sake curry balance and colour food. Phone call, just a minute. How are you?
Things have really changed in Japan. So you were talking about food. You use sake curry balance or protein?
So sake curry balance, mixture of floating and sinking, and I'm using Odokan short, I guess, so very colour up. The Odokan food.
So now we can't get that in the UK.
You can't. I mean, it's still a sake curry product, but allegedly, so some breeders say it's got a little bit more kind of higher quality colour up effect to it. So I guess using it.
Deep red is fine, or just sake curry colour?
Yeah, I think so. I think sake curry colour's fine. But I think for me, I know there's like high growth foods available, or over here they call them, what's the name for it? Zokai, I forget the word for it. There's one like the high growth version, but in reality nobody actually uses it over here. One or two breeders do, but they reckon that actually it very easily puts on too much weight too quickly. It's kind of hard to control, so most people just use balance. In actual fact, most breeders generally use like cheaper foods
because of the volume they need and money.
Yeah, that's right. There's various companies that make it, but
the famous Mottenai.
But in fairness, I mean, a lot of stuff you just can't feed expensive food to. It's just not.
Well, is there any mileage in feeding koi that's sunshine above growth food, or not really?
No, I don't really think so.
Just stick to balance.
Yeah, for me. I mean, I found it easy to control, easy to get the body weight. Mud pond as well, same food.
So just stick to balance.
Yeah, I think so.
we're a little bit slow at the moment because we got a truck transporting our.
Yeah, carrying a portaloo. Oh, the smell is terrible. Oh, I can make a toilet.
And they're the boys in the well, the boys. Anthony's driving.
We're trying to hold it together, hoping nothing falls off.
He's bringing the. Oh, actually, I can't see it on the camera.
OAPs.
No, I was going to use your word, but we can't do that.
Oh, the riffraff, that kind of thing.
Anyhow, so going into the show scene, you've judged a few shows in Japan and Thailand, is that right? You were in Thailand?
Judging, yeah, that's right. Actually, where's the next one? Taiwan's the next show, December, that I'll be going to
You'll
judge.
be going there.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun because there's, to me, some kind of, I know, it's interesting being like an English dealer living in Japan, getting sent overseas as a Japanese judge, so like breeder judge kind of thing. So you get kind of like overseas invitation guest judges, and then you get the Japanese judges. So that's kind of gives a good sense of feeling included, if you like.
And do you feel like amongst the breeders here, where you live in the south, that you are still? I know you're accepted because they know you, but what I mean is now you're raising...
Still on the bottom rung, that's all right. Picking through the scraps.
No, it's like, okay, you're a foreigner to them, and you're trying to raise their kind of game and beat them at it. Is it a bit strange, or they think...
In a way, I think breeders that have been to our place, breeders have been surprised at what they've seen.
Yeah.
And I think maybe just breeders just figured our breeders are the best, and of course breeders are the best, but maybe they just feel like, this English guy, he's come over here trying to play our game. What does he know?
What can he do?
Yeah, that's right. So what damage, what harm can he do? But in fairness, I think the reception from other breeders that have visited, I think, has been one of surprise. Breeders that we've been buying fish from over the years as well, I think, have been pleasantly surprised. And I think in that regard, to some degree, maybe there's some breeders that aren't really focused on raising fish for koi shows, that kind of thing. Maybe they're just raising things in the old school conventional manner.
Right.
And I think to some degree, maybe some of those breeders see some excitement in sort of what I'm doing with their fish and the possibilities perhaps of getting their fish to koi shows in the future. So, and of course there are other people that can buy fish and do that, but nonetheless, it's kind of like an alternative avenue, I think, in a way. Yeah. And also, we're on the doorstep of the breeders that we're primarily dealing with, and I think is maybe interesting to them. It's kind of like we're neighbours,
Yeah. Well, you get good support from a few of the farm, mainly around your area.
Yeah.
And breeders are helpful, and I'm not been coming to Japan for 100 years, but I think this is my possibly fifth or sixth trip, and
it's more than that.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I can't remember.
Probably about 10, I would have thought.
Yeah.
But nice of you to play it down and be modest.
Well,
you're still just a newbie, aren't you? I remember not so long ago where you were getting kind of slapped down by all and sundry.
Yeah, well, I still do right now.
Yeah, you still do, yeah.
Yeah, I still do right now. No, anyhow, we wouldn't go there. Let's keep it there.
That's right. Yeah.
So we're on the way to the mud pond.
We're nearly there. We've got our man here.
This guy here is a bit crazy. Yeah. I've done this trip a few times. And the mud ponds, actually, for those watching, that's why the journeys. We actually did a video like this once when we went fishing in Rutland, didn't we? Do you remember?
Yeah.
The mud ponds over
that
that.
was strange. Talking about koi going to catch and murder fish, or so it would seem.
Is that your man coming out on the bike?
There he is, coming out with his bike. Let's try not to take him out.
Yeah. What's his name again?
Muroka-san.
Muroka-san. There you go.
Muroka-san.
There he is.
Right, here we go.
We're going to film him talking. That's stumbled into the pathway.
Konnichiwa.
どう
ですか?
そうね、ないね。ちょっとあとずれたわ。
今ちょっと
水がちょっと出しすぎ。
なるほど。
出しすぎたらこの土手がずれた。ここが。
なるほど。
ちょっと
なるほど。It's kind of too much flow at the moment for the high sui drainage rail, so it's kind of overspilling. So that's why he stopped here.
So what's he trying to do then? Turn it down?
Not really. He's keeping his eye on it, and he's just cautious of I think the fact that we're desperately trying to get water out as fast as possible, but
Possible
it might
to
be having taking its effect, as it were, taking its toll.
Yeah. He's worth his weight in gold, this man, isn't he?
No, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying he used to look after it for Takigawa?
So he did. He used to look after him, and yeah. Also, his wife actually, not his wife, sorry, his daughter
Right.
works at Heathrow Airport.
Oh, really? In London?
Yeah. So there was a story years ago where we had a shipment in England.
Oh, this is good.
And his daughter saw the fish arrive,
Right.
addressed to me,
Yeah.
and then the daughter called him, it was like years ago, saying, "Oh, we got koi from Takigawa Koi Farm. Your friend Takigawa Koi Farm is a shipment of fish has arrived from it." So there you go.
Oh, but they didn't fast track it for you.
No, not at all. They slow track it. Everybody slow tracks it.
I thought there was going to be a story like, yeah, they were going to hold it back, but you had the inside track. All right, so let's hop out here. Let's have a look. What's going on? We've come to the mud pond. We're draining the mud pond for tomorrow's event because I got my chap who works with us, Tate, coming to film from the UK. Help me film this as well. So we just drove up here today. We had some lunch quickly. And let's see how far down we've gone. Yeah. So we've dropped probably another square and a bit. There the boys. Say hello. Arigato gozaimasu. Did you keep up with us?
Yeah, but just I was having to work it hard, like
Well,
around them tight corners.
Yeah. Mike like doing the apex turn,
Yeah.
doesn't he? Yeah.
I had to like really use the brake and accelerator. I thought I was in a race.
So
It was
he
like
wants to open up another valve, let some more water. But what's happening is the water's come out too quickly. There you go. There you go. There you go, Mike. Do you think he'll crash it, or do you think he'll do it? Let's see. Let's see. Oh, how close can we go? How close can we go? But don't put it in the ditch, Ant. Don't put it in the ditch.
You're doing proud.
Oh, the front wheel. Look at the front wheel.
Young'un. He's
Oh,
good. He's
he's
trying not
good.
to scratch the left side of the car because it's in pristine condition before we got in it. He's being cautious, even if it does fall over.
There you go. He's doing a good job.
Yeah, Daddy's left hand down, son. Come on. Aye, why, man? Yeah. That's cushy. Hey, keep going back a bit.
There you go. He's not going to crash it. Ah, he's out. He's home free now,
You can
isn't
see
he?
the passengers in the very back. Look at them screaming.
I know. What are you going to do now is peg it and leave him, give him no slack so he has to peg it
Don't
behind.
mind the bus. I love this apparently yesterday and this morning saying to...
Right, Mike, son. We're back from the mud pond check. Let me ask you about conditioning koi for a show. How should a hobbyist with a limited space and such condition a fish for the show? What can they do? What sort of things they can do? You got a show, say the National, which is around June, the last weekend of June. What could we be doing to get our fish in better condition for the show, color, body, etc.?
The only thing you can really do is, and it's difficult, is build more body up on the fish sometime prior to the show. The trouble is, quite often I think if you do that early season, you end up with the fish basically just creating eggs, filling up with eggs.
Right.
So that point's difficult because of the koi show timing.
Yeah.
I think like autumn, winter is a much better time to have a koi show, but of course
Yes.
people then worry about putting their fish into winter after a show, so
Yeah.
it's kind of, I don't know, difficult. But given that situation, it's kind of, I think, difficult to do really well in terms of getting enough body weight on the fish
Yeah.
and getting the fish looking nice enough for the show, because to try and get body weight on the fish, inevitably you're going to create a situation where the skin condition reflects the fact that the fish is working quite hard to utilise all the food you're giving it. So the skin kind of goes muddy looking or not as nice a condition as it should be. So then the trouble is trying to brighten the fish up prior to the show, but that's not a big problem, but it's mainly about kind of just lowering the temperatures really and leaning off the food. Or some people would feed wheat trim food. For me, I think just leaning off the food and stopping colour food is enough, but I think that you would realistically need probably 6 weeks, 8 weeks prior to the show, start looking at things that will affect the skin condition and make the skin brighter. Like I say, food, lower temperatures. So yeah, give some thought to that. The other thing that I think is a good idea is the use of like zeolite powder or clays that contain zeolite, which basically is the main ingredient anyway. And using that clay to basically get into the fish and kind of detox the fish, which in a roundabout way is then going to result in the fish looking brighter in appearance. Right, I need to take this call a minute.